Hi, everybody. This is Dwayne Natwick, and welcome to this Opsgility webinar on superpowering your small business with Microsoft Azure. Myself and Kathleen Sensat are going to provide you with some information in the next 30 minutes that hopefully will help you in your cloud journey. My name is Dwayne Natwick. I'm a cloud training architect lead here at Opsgility. I'm also a Microsoft MVP and a Microsoft certified trainer with multiple Microsoft certifications and many years in the IT industry.
Hello, everyone. I'm Kathleen Sensat, and I'm the lead strategic account executive here. I'm really in charge of helping our strategic account executives here on our team partner with organizations like yours to be able to help you on your digital transformation journey. I've provided my contact information there for you too, so if you have any questions, you can contact me directly after our webinar. And I'm going to share a little bit about Opsgility. Opsgility is a company who partners with organizations across the globe to help them on their digital transformation. And we do that through several different methods. First being, we are a CSP and we help with consulting services, and that can range from the smallest project to the most complex. We help with your virtual events. So what does that mean? We have a solution called the Virtual Conference Manager, which is an application that's powered by Microsoft Teams to help you engage your audience and your employees through a virtual method. It's a really cool tool to be able to build events and conferences and to reach a larger audience across the globe. And then we help you to be able to use these Microsoft Cloud tools through training, and that can be open enrollment classes, that can be dedicated classes, and that can be customized solutions for your organization too.
Okay, so what are we going to talk about today around all of this and this enablement and superpowering your small business for Microsoft Cloud? I'm going to discuss why the cloud in general, and then also why Microsoft Azure. We're going to talk about some. I'm going to talk about some core capabilities and some common misconceptions when organizations are moving themselves to the cloud, and then finally, what's most important to anybody that's probably attending this and that has a small business or a business that they work within. What's in it for me? And that's always a good point to take. Why would you do that as your business, as a business owner, or as an IT director or C-level company? What is in it for you? So why the cloud and why Microsoft Azure? So the key thing, why the cloud? What do we want to do around the cloud? And there are many different parts within the cloud that create a level of value proposition. And we're going to talk about a few of those in the next slide. Different companies, different organizations have different goals and want to have, they're seeking different benefits and different ways in which to help their company grow and to leverage different benefits of the cloud. And one of the things that really becomes a bit of an issue and maybe sometimes a blocker to moving to the cloud is a lack of clarity and alignment that leads to just kind of a paralysis by analysis, so to speak, or different opinions and different reasons and lack of a clear focus as to how and why and the what to the ways that you're going to move to the cloud. So we're going to talk about a few of those here today as well. And company and business goals change over time. Where we were from businesses as companies, now as we were a year ago, even pre-pandemic, things have changed. A lot of our everybody's work, many organizations, their workforce has gone completely remote. They need to access resources that they used to be able to access very easily from an on-premises environment that was within the building that they were working in. A lot of those goals have changed, and we need to find ways to provide more flexibility to our workforce, and the cloud can help us do that as well. the key thing here is to really have a strong strategy and be explicit in that strategy in what those goals are, what those goals are not in terms of the cloud when you are thinking about starting to utilize cloud-based technologies. And that's what we'll talk about, some of those things here today in this short webinar. So what are some of the reasons and the ways that we move into the cloud, and why do we utilize, what is some of the benefits, and what do we think about when we move into the cloud? Well, first and foremost is costs. It's expensive to run a data center. It's expensive to invest in the equipment needed to host applications and to host your Exchange servers and your SharePoint servers and your SQL servers within your environment. And that hardware and those capital expenditures depreciate over time, and then you have to repurchase them. So you're spending on cycles of 3 to 5 years, potentially hundreds of thousands of dollars to refresh equipment and refresh software and things like that. When you move to a cloud-based model and cloud-based technologies, those are moving from that capital expense to an operational expense. The ability to move to those becomes more of an operating expense to your organization, just like your internet services or your power or your natural gas within your organization. And so that, from a financial standpoint, looks and works much better on a balance sheet than having one big purchase that you have to justify and have to work through. You can build yourself into utilizing cloud services in terms of an operating expense. And with that, with those costs, one of the things that Microsoft and many other the cloud providers provide is there's a level of transparency of that too. You only generally generally use what you or pay for what you use, and you may see over time as you become more efficient and active within cloud technologies, you have a level of cost savings that you also go through. From an agility perspective, you have capabilities to go faster to market, and we'll talk a little bit more about this in some other slides. But you have the ability to instantly provision a virtual machine or an application service to do more development and work and build applications and spend more time as an IT organization developing than maintaining hardware and software. And so it helps you as an organization be faster to market to your customers and work with your customer, and provide your customers with what they're asking for in terms of your digital profile and your digital presence within your company. Service quality, cloud services are generally globally available, so you can be closer. You can build services closer to your customers and more reliable to your customers as well. Security and compliance is an interesting one here because if you are in a working as a business that requires a certain level of regulatory compliance for the business that you're in, or the business, or who you're providing business to, that requires a certain regulatory compliance, you can get to a level of regulatory compliance in a much quicker fashion utilizing a cloud provider versus building it within your own data center. We're not going to go into this deeply in terms of that aspect, but it gets you there. And I have a bunch of talks that I've done as well on security and compliance that you could probably find, and there's lots of people that talk about it on a regular basis. But cloud technologies get you there in a faster manner and can get you to those levels of compliance rather than you building it yourself. New capabilities. There are always new technology is moving at a very fast pace, and we're gathering and utilizing more data on a daily basis than we did 2 years ago, 5 years ago. Data is and the gathering of data and analyzing of data is at the forefront to how we need to run, how we should be running our businesses, and having those capabilities and being able to analyze all of that data is expensive from a hardware perspective to invest in, but cloud providers such as Microsoft provide these services baked into their platforms where you can very easily access them, utilize them for what you need, pay for only what you utilize, and move on. So key thing around all of these, obviously, agility and new capabilities are ways that we can be faster to market to our customers. We can analyze our customer needs and deliver a product in a more directed fashion to our customers to make more money. And service quality, we have a lot less risk, and obviously moving from CapEx to OpEx. Ultimately, from a balance sheet perspective, we are showing a savings of money to a certain degree. And we'll talk a little bit more about that here in a moment. So why Microsoft Azure? So some things around Microsoft and around Azure that, why would you choose them? So, there are other cloud providers out there, but what is the reason for choosing Azure? Security across hybrid architectures. Microsoft puts a lot around security and compliance around their platforms, and the ability then to also utilize multi-platform services, both in Microsoft Cloud, in Microsoft Azure, in Microsoft 365, Microsoft Dynamics, all of their cloud services, as well as they've embraced hybrid infrastructures, and you can utilize both of those and bring together the same security tools and solutions. Integrated identity and access management. Most businesses work on some level of Active Directory. You probably have Windows Active Directory within your on-premises environment. Migrating into Microsoft Azure, you utilize Microsoft's cloud-based Azure Active Directory platform, but there is integration between Azure Active Directory and Windows Active Directory to provide a single source of identity management and access management, and provide a single sign-on experience for your organization. Scalable global platforms for applications and databases. If you have customers in multiple countries and multiple geographies, utilizing the Microsoft Azure global footprint, you can get closer to those customers. As I was saying before, you have an ability to scale and be more agile, and again, make more money in other countries by getting closer to them, getting closer to their needs, and being more responsive to them. Monitoring and management goes back also to that security piece and the hybrid infrastructures where there are the ability to within Microsoft manage and monitor not only your services within the Microsoft Cloud, but also in your hybrid architectures. Let's talk about some of the core capabilities and common misconceptions. I've hit on a few of these already, but some things to think about and to understand as you're addressing your needs and thinking about that strategy to move into the cloud. The key thing, and probably the number one mistake within moving to the cloud, is that I'm going to just take what I have in my on-premises environment and I'm going to move that into Microsoft Azure. I'm going to just make it, it's going to be exactly the same. It's just taking that operating system and standing it up in Microsoft Azure, and I've then done what I need to do, and now I'm taking advantage of the cloud and cloud technologies. That is probably the number one mistake, because people think then, okay, I'm going to save money going in the cloud. That's really probably one of the more costly alternatives. It's sometimes a good way to get started doing that, but you should always look and think about how you're going to make yourself more efficient within the cloud. And you need to change your mindset a little bit when doing that. And when we think about a business and the on-premises, our own data center mindset, we're tied to a fixed size of what our hardware is going to be able to process for our, for the traffic that's coming in for our organization's websites, for example. And at the time, you need to order that well in advance. And if something happens where maybe you roll out a new product and you have a exponential increase in traffic to your website, you may not have thought of and provision your peak demand, and then you're going to have a bad customer experience. When you think about the cloud and the Azure mindset, we only think about what we need to use at the time. Again, this is where you're really taking that benefit of cost savings within the Azure environment. Instead of having 4 pieces of hardware handling our website, and maybe with the exception of Christmas time, we're only using maybe one of those pieces of server hardware. We are really only working, we're just throwing money away essentially. If we are thinking in terms of a cloud mindset and an Azure mindset, we only need to have that one device, that one virtual machine, that one operating system that's running our website for that amount of time, and then we can scale up and we can create automation to increase our needs and increase our amount of consumption as demand increases, and we can decrease it when demand decreases. Therefore, we're being much more efficient with our costs, much more efficient with our finances, and we are also providing the customer and addressing the needs of our customers on a regular basis, where we're not going to have to worry about peak performance being beyond what our capacity is. We can consistently maintain a capacity level that handles our performance at that time. Another mistake here is that, and I've said this a couple of times, that don't expect and expecting an immediate cost decrease with the cloud is really a misconception. Especially if you're doing, like I said, and just taking what you have and moving it into the cloud, it could potentially cost you more. It's about the flexibility, and it's about the performance. It's about the ability to address our customer needs and to be there for our customers. It's not for saving in cost. The key thing around cost savings, as I said in the previous slide when we were talking about that capital expense to operating expense, it looks different on your balance sheet from a business perspective, sometimes from a tax perspective as well, that you can benefit from moving to that operational expense, but it's not going to ultimately cost less all the time. As you get more involved in utilizing cloud technologies and utilizing the solutions within the cloud and become more understand more about the cloud and refactor and become more of a cloud native organization, you then start to see some of those cost benefits and those decreases in costs and ways that you can leverage that. And and the key thing, why do projects fail? Why is it that we fail in moving to a cloud project? I don't know how. We don't know how to move to the cloud. We aren't sure how to move to the cloud, and we have things around why projects fail, and it's not because of the technology. The Microsoft Azure technology is strong, and the key things are aligning those projects to your business strategy, what you want to do to address customer needs, business needs, and measure that impact and understand what the impact is on that, manage change management, making sure that there's a level of user adoption at play, and that the user environment, if it's something for an in-house application, it's understood and communicated. I say this with many different things around technological changes. As human beings, we fear change, and we don't like change. We like to keep the status quo. So constant communication and setting proper expectations within the organization around what's going to take place is going to make that project successful. And the key thing when you move to the cloud, things are done differently. It's not, I mentioned this a little bit before. As you move to utilizing more cloud technologies and moving and utilizing Microsoft Azure, you are changing the dynamic of your organization, especially your IT organization. Your IT organization can focus more on cloud technologies and application development, and doing more work that is that benefits the company, benefits the customer, rather than maintenance and support and things like that. That generally holds up a lot of IT departments and IT groups from the standpoint of being able to really develop apps that customers like, and analyze data on what customers are looking for and what customers are buying. They can work on those projects and be much more of an asset to your organization rather than a piece of overhead. So last thing I want to hit on is what's in it for me, or what's in it for you, that you're in attendance here, around why would I go to the cloud, and what does Microsoft Azure provide to me, and what can Microsoft Azure do to help my business? The key thing here is, as I said, it is decreasing our hardware expenses. We're not investing capital into hardware. If we're in a refresh cycle as a business, we are looking at, we can move to Azure. Move to Azure virtual machines and Azure Compute Services, rather than purchasing new equipment and constantly purchasing new equipment and needing the latest and greatest, and also trying to know what our capacity is, which gets us to that second bullet point, which I've hit on quite a bit here today: rapid deployment to meet customer demand. The ability to deploy and to add resources and add capacity to our websites, to our databases, to meet customer demand on a regular basis, and decrease as customer demand decreases, and only pay for what you use, really can help your business be more agile, be more efficient, and scale to meet customer demand faster. And then, as I was saying in the previous slide, more team focus for development than on infrastructure support. Your IT team can be more focused on helping with what customer needs, analyzing data, and working with the business to develop and to reach more customers, and to be more focused at what that reach is, and help with what is taking place in terms of your digital footprint. And just to review this slide again, very similar as I was saying, this really puts, I like this slide just because it really puts the exclamation point on the difference between what you might have before you start moving to Azure and where you get with Azure in terms of buying hardware and constantly buying, as capacity increases, having to buy another piece of hardware, and anybody that's purchased a server that's going to handle any type of capacity, you're looking at $10,000 to $20,000 in hardware each time, where you can consume only what you need, and you can turn on more compute capacity as needed and decrease it as it's not needed. And the key thing here also is again, the IT culture change. We're not having to deal with, not having to be a support structure and a siloed organization. You can have your team be more empowered to be results driven, deliver customer value, and deliver customer impact. I'm not going to go through each one of these bullets, but that's really what it comes down to here is, as you move into the cloud, you move away from that structured structured support model where you're working on failures and fixes and patches and things like that, and you're now moving into a cloud culture that is really customer focused and delivering and making a customer impact. And one of the things around that, and what Microsoft really puts in play here around how you build this strategy to move to the cloud. And as a business, this is really key to making sure you have that successful project, and that's the Microsoft Cloud Adoption Framework for Azure. And the key things here is, as a business, from a business perspective, it's important to have the business and the stakeholders of the business involved upfront to define the strategy, understand what the business motivations are. It's not about technological motivation, it's about business reasons. Why are we moving to the cloud? What are the reasons for moving there? What is the plan to do that? And do we have specific specific services, specific applications, specific hardware that is end of life, that needs to be moved, that we are in a crunch to move that, to do something with that? Or do we have really business and customer focused reasons of hey, we're at our capacity for our website or for our databases, and we need to really be more focused on our customers? And that's really, from a business standpoint, what we look at. And then from a technology perspective, then you start looking at what the platform's going to be, what we're going to do to get ready, and then we move into those, looking at and identifying workloads to adopt and migrate and manage those workloads. And Opsgility does a lot of the can help to support with that, and we can do workshops for you and assist in helping you to define that strategy and build that cloud adoption framework as well. So this brings me to the end of this seminar. We got a question here really quick to hit on here. For somebody did ask a question for going around identity management. For a small business that mainly uses Active Directory for identity management, is Active Directory Virtual Machine in Azure needed, or would Azure Active Directory domain services be sufficient? That's a really good question. It's a kind of a technical question from somebody in the crowd, but there's multiple ways in how you can do this. If you want to move away from your on-premises Active Directory, you can very easily stand up Active Directory domain services within Azure to emulate that same Active Directory environment. You can also, if you are still going to have on-premises services, still utilize that Active Directory server, and Azure Active Directory has Azure Active Directory Connect that can synchronize those two services. And there's multiple ways that you can use ADFS, you can use pass-through authentication, or you can use password hash authentication. And I'm not going to get into those today because this is more of a business discussion, but there are definitely options there to either move your Active Directory to the Azure cloud or synchronize that Active Directory to Azure Active Directory. I think that's the only question that we have up right now. But just to summarize, we covered here in the last 30 minutes why would we choose to move to utilizing cloud technologies in Microsoft Azure, what the core capabilities are, as well as some misconceptions that you might want to think about when you're going into adopting cloud technologies, and then what's in it for me. What will the cloud do for you, and also some things around cloud adoption framework and also ways that that Opsgility can help with getting you towards that path to move to the cloud.
Perfect. Thanks, Dwayne. That was very insightful. And so I guess the question you guys are all asking yourself, what next? Well, we can help you guys by you having contact with us. You can reach us at this email address, which is just a general one, but we'll get you connected with the right strategic account executive to help schedule a meeting to work with you and your team to talk about a strategic plan to help you execute the problem that you're looking to face. Just to list a few based on the topics that we discussed today is we can really help you build your cloud strategy. That's very unique to each organization, and we have a team of experts ready to help you plan and scope that out for your organization. We can assist with creation of applications. So if you're looking to just have the manpower, you don't necessarily have the time, we can assist with that creation, or you don't have the expertise, we have those experts on our staff ready to help, or we can help migrate workloads and data over to Azure. And that can be the most basic to the most advanced, depending on what you guys are looking to achieve. Again, if you're looking to overcome some of those barriers internally with your organization, just reach out to us and we'll get you connected. And don't forget to attend our next webinar too to continue on the series to learn a little bit about Dynamics 365 for sales and marketing.
Thank you, Kathleen. And I don't think there's any other questions, so we'll draw this all to a close here. I want to thank everybody for their time today, and hopefully they gained some valuable insight, and hopefully we hear from you here in the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.